my dear friends. Today we are going to discuss the human development rights and security. So before we discuss the human development rights and human security, so in this chapter there are lots of things you have to learn through my speech, that is introduction, aims and objective, evolution of human rights, significance of human development, status of human security, interdependency between human rights, security and development, interdependency between human security and human development, interdependency and suggested areas of action. So these are the structure of this chapter. So before I discuss this first introduction part, I want to say something about the human security situation which is facing into the current world today. That is, look at the situation of the Southeast Asia, Iraq and Syria and Libya. Lots of terrorism problem, poverty problem are increasing in many situations, in Asia or whatever. In North American countries also facing these types of problem. So it's a very crucial situation. So how we tackle this situation, so it is the main point for us and for our government and government also. So government are very much need to concern about the issues of human capabilities and human rights and human security also, and the human development also. So before we study anything, any of the issues, so government also have to be serious. Government have to be very clear about their policies, about their situations like security situations and freedom of consciences, independence and equality. These are the big issues, political issues, economic issues, social and cultural issues. These are the big issues. So government have to solve these issues. So let's start. How can we handle the situation through these theories? So before we start one thing, have to very clear that the security situation in Asia, especially in Syria, in Iraq and Lebanon and in Israel, there is lots of difficulties. That is ethnic movement, and basically another major problem is the terrorism problem. Terrorism problem is increasing day by day because of lots of people have unemployed in this region, in Asian region, and they don't have any job. So these are the problems. So unemployment is the major issues in front of us. That is mainly the major issues are mainly responsible. The issues are mainly responsible because of terrorism activity in Kashmir. There is also terrorism activities. Pakistan also increasing and encouraging the terrorist movements. So these are the countries who encourage the terrorism, like Pakistan, Libya, and in the African nation also. And Pakistan is supporting the terrorism from 1989 and 1990s. From long time, Pakistan influencing these terrorist organizations in many parts of the Asian subcontinent also. Pakistan encouraging the jihadism everywhere in Asia, and especially in Bangladesh they are also encouraging, providing fund and assistance to the terrorist groups in Kashmir, in Bangladesh, in Nepal, in China also. So these are the countries. So we have to solve this problem, otherwise it will create major problem in front of us. Look at the situation in Syria. There are lots of people have been killed and lots of people facing a civil war situation in Syria from 2011 to till now. The conflict is going on. Biological and chemical weapons also used in Damascus and various parts of Syria, in Koban and various other parts in Syria, Iraq, and also used in Mosul also. So lots of people have lost their life and lots of people became refugee. So these are lots of people are displaced from their houses. So the situation is very critical. So we have to solve this problem. Now we are going to start our chapter. So let's start human development rights and human security. Introduction part, we have to start first. The introduction. Human development, human rights and human security constitute the ingredient that make the humanity and contented and secure. Human development creates entitlement and capabilities in people lead to good life. Human rights create support for the people and enable them to get access and entertainment and capabilities. Human security creates a right to people for basic entitlements for survival and basic minimum standard of living. If well realized, benefiting the society, especially the poor and marginalized, disadvantaged and exploited. It is therefore necessary to examine these concepts and interdependency among them so that policies and programs of human upliftment and security can be created. The difference between a right and a human right may be noted here. A right can be defined as a right if and only if society has a right to protect its enjoyment and redress its violations. A human right is a human right if and only if being a human being is sufficient reason of condition for possessing the right. As for example, right to food is a human right as well being needed it for living as human beings. Human rights are succinctly explained into the Action of Aid publication 2004 as follows. All human beings have the right to live with dignity at all times regardless of their legal and social political status. Human rights are not gifts to be bestowed at the whims and fancies of anyone, nor privilege or an act, grace or charity. Equity, justice are of the heart of all human rights. Living with dignity and without fear are basic needs, which includes adequate decent food, water, health, freedom from slavery, fair treatment and under the law, shelter, etc. These basic human needs or values are at the foundation of universal ideas of human rights. Now, we are going to start the evolution of human rights chapter. So, human rights have been evolving historically over the 300 years. Some important milestone in this development includes the Habeas and Corpus Act 1679, which is guaranteed the individual freedom, safety against the arbitrary arrest and punishment. The 1689 Bill of Rights codified the rule of law, right to vote, individual liberty and judicial guarantees. The 1776 US Declaration of Independence offered the right to life and 1789 French Declaration of the Right of Man and the Citizen covered extent sovereignty, government general will of the people, equality before law, accountability, right to resist oppression and the right to property, security, freedom of conscience and the opinion. In the 1920, the League of Nations enforced its mission as one to create cooperation between the nation and language, peace and security. But the concept of human rights as a universal declaration came after the horrific experiences of the fascist killing during the Second World War. Human rights principles were written in United Nations Charter. Later in 1948, Universal Declaration of Human Rights was adopted by the United Nations General Assembly, which is asserted the combination of civil and political, economic, social and cultural rights. There were also declaration on rights of women and children, war affected people, etc. 1976, with the adoption of the entry into force of the International Covenant of Economic and Social Civil Rights of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights (ICPR). The Universal Declaration 1948 was strengthened after this. There were several notifications covering security, cooperation against the torture, against the racial discrimination, a right to invention by the UN, right of the minorities, elimination discrimination against women, and right of the child. The UN General Assembly adopted the important Declaration on the Right to Development 1986, which include the right of food, education, health, and significant declaration. After 1948 declaration was the Vienna Declaration and Program of Action adopted in 1993 by the World Conference of Human Rights and upholding the human rights and stating the human rights and fundamental freedoms are are brightest of all human beings. Their protection, promotion is the first and responsibility of government. It can be concluded that globally human relations stand all upholding freedom and the democracy, notwithstanding the violation in some parts of the states. So friends, this is the point of the human evolution of human rights. So in the next part, we discuss the human rights evolution in stages. So if you like the video, you like it and share it, and please push the bell icon button so you can get the more notification on these new videos. Thank you.